second. Ran into a technology snag. Hi, everybody. Welcome. There we are. Good to see you. How you doing? Johnny Million, thank you for the raid, my friend. Sorry it's taken me so long to get online. I got a house full of little kids and craziness going on. It's super fun. But I had to coordinate food for the children's. And mic's on. Everything's good. Volume's okay. Check 1. Check 2. Check 3.
Combat infantryman.
Okay. Yep. You can hear that. Excellent.
I know words. I have the best words.
As do I. Now, there are a lot of things. I got to fix this part of it up, but at the very least, let me move this over to here, and then I'm going to check in with you guys on this business. Hi, everybody. Hi, welcome, chat room. How you doing? So much stuff to cover today. I don't know if how we're even going to get to all of it. Now, obviously there's a huge. Well, where do we even start? Good Lord. There's just so much of it. Oh my God. Let's see. There's all right, we'll just go through each part of this, and then I'll show you individually what we're talking about. Mr. All Clever. I'm sorry, Mark. I apologize for missing all your clever chats. There were plenty of them. Now, the one thing I have to do is, let's see, I have to open up that file. There we go. I got to open this thing up because I made some notes, if I may, about the indictment itself, and so much of it. And I don't know how I'm going to quite display it. Let me go back to me for 1 second, and then I'll try and set this up without overlapping everything and creating a torrent of garbage. But I mean, most of the people are drawing on the fact that the newest indictment is pretty much a cut and paste from the Jan 6 committee. We know what's in there. We've seen a good portion of it, and interestingly enough, if I'm going to say check out this thing and then go shift down to here, and then take all this and download that, and then it's zipping it and downloading it. Excellent. Okay, good. Because I took a bunch of the images from it, and there were a few other aspects of it as well. Done. Excellent. And then we'll find that, and we'll take all these things, and we'll extract those things. How do we extract to? Extract all. Let's extract them all. And we'll extract them to where? We'll browse the things, and we'll put them in the things with the in the things with the things. Yes, we'll put them in here. Okay, and then we'll put it into this. Good. Okay, we'll select that and we'll extract them into the thing. And what a mess. Okay, that was a mistake, but it's all right. I'll live through it. Meanwhile, and then there's got to be something on the PC that passes for Keynote, right? What would that thing be called? Because I don't want to go through Canva and all that kind of stuff to start from scratch. Was it with the Microsoft? Was some version of it? I've got Office, I think, on this silly thing. Paint 3D. No, that's terrible. I mean, maybe you know what? Screw it. I'll just. I think if I open these things as images. Let's see. Open. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, sure. Why not? Now the question is, how much do I? How do I try to do this thing? Boing. There's that. There's this. There you go. Yeah. Okay. So cool. Got it. Now wait. Do I go back? PCs are silly things. Why is there not? Oh, there is a backend. Okay. Good. Excellent. All right. So the primary. Um, okay, first of all, I grabbed a bunch of stuff. I often will screenshot stuff, and that is my preferred method. And I have not found an organizational system by which to categorize those things quickly, other outside of my like Notion. And the obvious issue with that is that open as yes, open with this. Okay, and should add it to there. Okay, good. The obvious issue with that is that they're all just called image and have a number next to them, which is like it's the same organizational principle as Trump's bots on Shitter or whatever that thing is now. Now, if I may, let's. One of the stories that popped up for me was this business here. Let me try to shrink this down so you guys can see it. There was an exchange between Eric Swalwell and Kevin McCarthy. And some of you, a couple days ago, you might have heard this or seen it, but I grabbed it just because. Context. They were in each other's faces, basically nose to nose, and Swalwell said something like, "Are we really going to do this?" After some back and forth with chest puffed out, McCarthy issued a challenge to Swalwell: "Call me a pussy again, and I'll kick your ass," the speaker allegedly said. Grown people. While both members told nearly identical versions of this story, they both delivered Swalwell's response in exactly the same way. "You are a pussy," Swalwell told McCarthy. Needless to say, there was no ass whooping that followed, so hilarity beyond hilarity. This was an actual thing between these two folks. I just think that's so money. It's hilarious. While both members told nearly identical story, they both delivered Swalwell's response in the same way. Everybody who watched this described it to you. He just literally had a "call me an asshole" Hancock moment and went ahead and did it, except for without the follow-up. Now, that's in my file of things, and so I just thought, it's funny. So next up in this lovely exchange, let's go back to Trump's plan on the electors. And like I said, a lot of this is stuff we saw. Who in the chat room, and besides almost everybody, watched the Jan 6 committee hearings and what were effectively the public trial around this? Because if you did, very little of this is new. This is just the chargeable stuff, because and this is how government kind of should normally work. The Congress has a hearing. They discover that there were crimes committed. They take those the allegations and the investigation they went through, and they refer it to the DOJ for for an indictment or for investigation to see if the DOJ concurs that they should also the charges should be filed. And either the DOJ says yes or no, but that's that. Whereas the Republicans just kind of drag this shit out, and I'll show you in a minute, because the news about like Comer and the Devin Archer thing is just so fucking choice. I love it. I just love it. I love it so much. I can't tell you. So anyways, there are a couple of moments in this that that are more like, I think we saw stuff around these filings, but not the actual text of some of the stuff, because either at that time the committee didn't have access to it, or they didn't want to show this until it was part of an actual indictment. Because the problem that you have in a situation where, like, the congressional committee, is this idea that Trump or his co-conspirators, of which he has six, five of which are known essentially, and a sixth is a what's considered a political operative. So it could be anybody at the RNC or any random, toady that they have running around. But in this in the exchanges around this, at one point, one of them emails, or Rudy Giuliani calls this RNC person or whatever, and they go, the plan is have our electors send in their votes, even though the votes aren't legal under federal law because they're not signed by the governor. So the members of Congress can fight about whether they should be counted on January 6th. They could potentially argue that they're not bound by federal law because they're Congress and make the law, which is just fucking stupid. Kind of wild / creative / illegal / nuts. I'm happy to discuss. My comment to him was, I guess there's no harm in it, legally at least. They're wrong. Example, we would just be sending in, quote, fake electoral votes to Pence so that someone, arguably Ted Cruz, in Congress could make an objection when they start counting votes and start arguing that the fake votes should be counted. And I love how the fake ones are in quotes. Now, they go back to this whole thing about Kennedy and Hawaii. And the reason why they wanted to use the idea of Kennedy and Hawaii was there was an ongoing recount. There was a lawsuit filed, and past the regular date of certification, they were still arguing about this. And the difference in votes was like 147 votes. So it was so minor and so close that they were like, this could be kind of dragged out forever. So they were like, we're pretty sure he's going to win in this next test. So let's put together a group of Democratic electors, because the Republicans are claiming they won, but we think we're going to win, we'll see, or whatever. So they effectively had another choice, because the courts were going to play this out by the time they certified all the stuff, and they were like, we'll send both electors, and then whichever one wins, they'll just get on with it, because it's 3 electoral votes, and who gives a damn? And so the Republicans have been kind of using this as their legal justification for their group of fake electors. And Jack Smith points out in this indictment that the difference in all of these states is not 147 votes or 500 votes like Florida and in Bush v. Gore. It's 10,000 votes, 17,000 votes. And in the case of Pennsylvania, 110 plus thousand votes. Now, there's a lot of kookiness in this, and Trump in and of himself is just at one point lying to everyone involved, which is not surprising, but it's how, I think what's surprising to a lot of people is just how stupid and ham-handed it is, that he should be arguably, like if you know you're on the edge of truth, you should use as much of the truth as possible, and then just kind of dress the truth in your lie. But in this case, he just flat out makes up a bunch of shit. And Pence, making a bunch of notes, contemporaneous notes, wrote down exactly how gigantic his lies were. Now, there are a bunch of things in here. Let me blow this up a little bit so you can see it a little better. Okay. This is when he's talking to, like, the RNC chairwoman, and they're going back and forth about this stuff. And the part of this is just like the obviousness of how he knows he's full of shit. But anyways, then I think this is Cassidy Hutchinson, the defendant's executive assistant, respondents in front of him, because everybody's like, can you just put this shit in front of him, let him know that it's done? This is it. The 6 contested, they all voted in parallel to Biden's electors. Like, we've got these fake groups running. RNC chairwoman is like, okay, here, you asked for it. They think they're part of a Kennedy in Hawaii kind of a scheme that if it turns, their stuff will be put in. Instead, what Jack Smith argues is that the fake electors, some of them, not all of them, but some of them were BS'd into thinking that they were just in case. It's like, we just want to have them ready, as an alternate set of electors if this is tossed back to the state and the legislature moves ahead, and so we could just have a quick turnover and that'll be that. And they're doing it in multiple states where he had no fucking chance. All right. But anyways, this is the further part of it. So that evening, 6:26 p.m., the RNC chairwoman forwarded to the defendant, Trump, through his executive assistant, an email titled Electors Recap Final, which represented that in 6 contested states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, the defendant's electors had voted in parallel to Biden's electors. The defendant's executive assistants responded, "It's in front of him." Like, okay, I gave it to him. The defendant's attempt to leverage the Justice Department to use deceit to get state officials to replace legitimate electors and electoral votes with the defendants. Now, we have been hearing a lot lately about the weaponization of the Justice Department. Have we not? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you that this section right here is precisely what that is. I'm going to read to you a description of Donald Trump trying to weaponize the Justice Department. Pure and simple. In late December 2020, after he had lost horribly, the defendant attempted to use the Justice Department to make knowingly false claims of election fraud to officials in the targeted states through a formal letter under the acting attorney general's signature, thus giving the defendant's lies the backing of the federal government and attempting to improperly influence the targeted states to replace legitimate Biden electors with the defendants. Now, all the free speech people who are like, he just told people this, and even if it's a lie, who cares? At what point it doesn't even matter? He's, if he's lying about this because he has, lying isn't against the law. That's by the way, the Glenn Beck defense, we'll just call it at this point. But ultimately, that is not what this is. This is forgery, essentially, what they're talking about here. This is Donald Trump forging, DOJ backup for what he's saying. And he does it multiple times to other people, to other government officials in his capacity as president. This is not some rando. He's still the president of the United States. Now, there's an argument that if a politician during a campaign said a bunch of this stuff and they didn't actually have the power to implement it, what can you get him on? Being full of shit? That's not illegal. Thank God. But in this particular case, he is using his power as president and the illusion of his control over and his access to information to lie to other people, to manipulate parts of the government in a way that benefits him against the voter. So that's what this is. Okay, so and then on December 22nd, the defendant met with co-conspirator 4 at the White House. That's no, it's not DeGenevieve. It's either Sidney Powell or anyways, it's the other dude, I think. Anyways, at the White House, co-conspirator 4 had not informed his leadership at the Justice Department of the meeting, which was a violation of the Justice Department's written policy restricting contacts with the White House to guard against improper political influence. So this is just when he's trying to put people in charge of shit. This is when he was putting people in charge of the military, so in case he needed to use the Insurrection Act, he had, total control over the leadership. Like, just, and all this, like, we're a what you call it? Like, we're not a third world country.
A ninth world country, not a third world country, a ninth world country.
Right. So he's using all this kind of third world country horse shit to try and control the situation. On December 26th, co-conspirator 4 spoke on the phone with the acting attorney general and lied about the circumstances of his meeting with the defendant at the White House, falsely claiming that the meeting had been unplanned. The acting attorney general directed co-conspirator 4 not to have unauthorized contacts with the White House again. So, just a bunch of shuffling and jumping around. Now, next. Also on the morning of January 3rd, co-conspirator 4 met with the defendant at the White House, again without having informed senior Justice Department officials, and accepted the defendant's offer to become that he become acting attorney general. On the afternoon of January 3rd, co-conspirator 4 spoke directly with, this is Jeffrey Clark, Ben. Thank you, it's Jeffrey Clark. Because Clark was the one that they was like, I'm going to make him attorney general. And everybody's like, you do and I quit. So, yeah. All right. On the afternoon of January 3rd, co-conspirator 4 spoke with Deputy White House Counsel. The previous month, the Deputy White House Counsel informed the defendant that there is no option in which you do not leave the White House on January 20th. Now, the same deputy White House counsel tried to dissuade co-conspirator 4 from assuming the role of acting attorney general. The deputy White House counsel reiterated to co-conspirator 4 that there had not been outcome-determinative fraud in the election, and that if the defendant remained in office nonetheless, there would be riots in every major city in the United States. And co-conspirator 4 responded, well, that's why there's an Insurrection Act. That's that part right there. Well, that's why there's an Insurrection Act. That's why that's there, so that we can just put that riot down. We can just open fire on them. We can just send in the military. We'll just use the Insurrection Act, and we will kill the rioters. That's what he's talking about, in no uncertain terms. Okay. Now we get to the Pence Trump stuff, and this is when he's a lot of people have seen this phrase right here, the "you're too honest" part. Vice President of the on January 1st, the defendant called the vice president, berated him, called him a pussy, apparently, because he had learned that the vice president had opposed a lawsuit seeking a judicial decision that at the certification, the vice president had the authority to reject or return votes to the states under the Constitution. He didn't believe he'd had it. He spoke to everybody else. Nobody believes he has it. They're clarifying the law, but it's not because they have to change the law. They're just making sure that nobody thinks they can thread this needle, or some lawyer in the future can't dick around and try and do this again, but with a more finely worded attack, so that people don't learn from this, find a hole, and try to dig their way through it. So the vice president responded that he thought there was no constitutional basis for the authority and that it was improper. In response, the defendant told the vice president, "You're too honest." Within hours of the conversation, the defendant reminded his supporters to meet in Washington before the certification proceeding, tweeting, "The big protest rally in Washington, D.C. will take place at 11 a.m. on January 6th. Locational details to follow." It wouldn't be just location. Details to follow. Stop the steal. And he didn't even hashtag it. He just slams all those words together because, he's...
I know words. I have the best words.
Yeah, he absolutely does.
An enormous, really an enormous...
Look, wait. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges.
I agree. So, fucking citrus, am I right? So, all right. Now, there are a couple of things that I noticed in doing this that are kind of crucial. Now, January 4th, the defendant held a meeting with co-conspirator 2, the vice president, chief of staff, and the vice president's counsel for the purpose of convincing the vice president based on the defendant's knowingly false claims of election fraud. So he was aware at this point because he was like, at this point, he's already had this conversation about, we'll let the next guy handle it, because he thinks he recognized that Biden had won to other people. But in public, he's still saying he won because it protects him legally. The defendant deliberately excluded his White House counsel from the meeting because the White House counsel previously had pushed back on the defendant's false claim of election fraud. Let's be abundantly clear. He is removing his lawyer from this meeting because he knows his lawyer will bring up in front of the other people that what he's saying is not true. And this is the part where the vice president wrote down all these, like, his lies. And they just... without his lawyer present, he doesn't even feel the need to try. Like, it's amazing. Okay, so during the meeting, as reflected in the vice president's contemporaneous notes, which Jack Smith has, the defendant made knowingly false claims of election fraud, including, bottom line, won every state by hundreds of thousands of votes. And we won every state. And asked, like, again, like, okay, even if you're being generous that he's saying we won every state, meaning the swing ones that went the other way, the ones he lost that should have gone his way, that's not even what he's saying. He's literally saying we won every state by hundreds of thousands of votes. He thinks he won, 52 out of 50 states. And regarding a claim his senior Justice Department officials previously had told him was false, because, again, he's like over and over and over again, he's just having, I guess, he's believing Sidney Powell over everybody else, or pretending to. He says, what about the 205,000 votes more in PA than voters? There are almost 250,000 more people voting than actually voted. No. Which didn't happen. Just garbage, nonsense, just made up, just fiction, just absurd fiction on every front. The defendant and co-conspirator 2 then asked Vice President to either unilaterally reject the legitimate electors from the 7 targeted states or send the question of which state was legitimate to the targeted states' legislatures. Now, the idea is that they had the legislatures, they thought they had them locked up with like low-level regional dudes that would they would go, no, he totally won. I don't believe it. All in my neighborhood, there's all these Trump flags, and that's that. He thought that's how that would work. Okay. So, then after the fact, he lies. He has the RNC put this out. Or no, his campaign, the Trump campaign, puts this out. But he also tweets out basically the same thing. And he made this lie a bunch of times. The vice president and I are in total agreement that the vice president has the power to act. He'd been told multiple times by Pence that he can't do that. That it's not going to happen. So this is just a blatant, goofy fucking lie. Again, not even marginally close to any kind of reality. He knows he's lying. He's had nothing but contentious phone calls and arguments with Mike Pence about this. Mike Pence has never even said, maybe we could try this about any of it. He's just trying, essentially, this is him trying to get Pence killed. That's all this is. Because again, you know how I brought up the stroke of the pen fallacy recently? This is the most weaponized version of that in history. Because that's a dangerous lie to float anyways, because it creates unfair distrust around a myriad of issues, whatever it is, like the president or my senator or whoever, or the mayor or whoever could, with the stroke of a pen, fix this. But okay, well then, if they could, there's only one reason why they wouldn't, and that's because they're evil and they want people to die on the street, broken, starving, and sick, right? And so therefore, that person's now a monster, not I have a political disagreement, or they've tried what I suggested and it didn't work, or they don't have that power to begin with and it's a lot more fucking complicated. So, but we get that. That's in the political realm. That's even bad enough, because it's immoral to make that kind of argument about another person that way. This is different, though. You have to understand the audience for this. The audience for this is the MAGA crowd that are going to show up on January 6th. The ones who yelled, hang Mike Pence. The reason they yelled, hang Mike Pence, is because they were under the impression that he could fix this and that it was true, whatever the fuck. He could fix this, he just wouldn't. Because he's with the deep state or George Soros or the globalist Illuminati Jew cabal, blah, 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 whatever it is. Doesn't matter. By the time they arrived there, they already were out for blood towards Mike Pence, because this dickhead was lying to these people literally, because listen, what is the natural extension of this? The vice president and I are in total agreement that the vice president has the power to act. No, that's not true at all. But if he's telling people that, then if Mike Pence chooses not to act, then he is in the process of engaging in the destruction of the United States of America. And therefore, traitor, treason, hanging's too good for him. That's far worse than the kind of just run-of-the-mill slacktivist online bullshit that people do about, like, I don't know, Biden could get rid of all this just by signing an executive order, like that kind of stuff, which is lame, but at least you can fight back on it. This guy was setting this dude up to be killed. It's the same thing as like yelling that, like, I think he's got a gun. So, okay. Then we go to this part. So, during the attack on the Capitol, there were a couple of moments where Trump goes off by himself and effectively tries again to get Mike Pence killed. And interestingly enough, he's not being charged with, like, wanton endangerment of another human life or any of that in this. This is my conclusion from this, but I don't know where else you go. At 2:24 p.m., after advisors had left the defendant alone in his dining room, this was the catch-up period, defendant issued a tweet intended to further delay and obstruct the certification. I would say further than that. Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. USA demands the truth. So, and by the way, 1 minute later, 2:25 p.m., the United States Secret Service was forced to evacuate the vice president to a secure location. This came up and they're like, oh, fuck. He's trying to... The Secret Service were responding to Trump's messaging as a direct assassination attempt on the vice president. And within a minute, they were like, we're bugging the fuck out. He's sending people to kill you. They're 40 feet away. We got to get you to a secure location. And Pence, to his credit, was like, I'm not leaving the building. We'll hide someplace. And there's plenty of places in the Capitol that'll lock down, and even if you try to gas the place, everybody's fine. And it's just not enough for the entire Congress or the entire House. Is like, you know, these like safe room things are probably maybe 20, 30 people for 24 hours at most. But good Lord. But that's what this is. That's what this moment is. This is a minute in Mike Pence's life where Trump tripled down on his attempts to get Mike Pence martyred. Okay, then we'll go blow this part of it up again. Now, okay, so this is the kind of ongoing part of this. Let me try to move this down here. Whoops, scroll this down here. And we're going to get back out here. And another message intended for a U.S. senator, and this is Rudy Giuliani, I believe, contacting Mike Lee or Tommy Tuberville or Ted Cruz, depending on which one it is. And another message intended for another U.S. senator, co-conspirator one, Rudy Giuliani, also known as the trusted source behind the FD 1023, repeated knowingly false allegations of election fraud, including that the vote, and by the way, at this point, Rudy had lost in court multiple times. He was there when it happened. It's one thing when Trump's like, he's getting bad news from these people, and he can think, well, you only lost because you're bad at this. The truth is, we still won. Like, he could still, that's why Georgia's case is going to be the hardest to prove. The Docs case is what's going to ultimately screw him in this situation. But he has to be charged for this stuff because we have laws. But in this, Rudy was sitting there and was given, had to make, in theory, had to draft responses, you know, to these, you know, to like, you suck and you're bad at this. No, I'm not. All right. I repeat, let's see, the states to Congress were incorrect and that the governors who had certified knew they were incorrect. That was the other thing. That this asshole is saying, again, this is the same gaslighting that can get people killed. Were incorrect. That illegal immigrants had voted in substantial numbers in Arizona, and that Georgia gave you a number in which 65,000 people who were underage voted. Okay, that, it's just horseshit. Like, it's flat out horseshit. But they even bothered to go through this stuff and litigate at it. And it went nowhere. Because nobody underage voted in Georgia. Again, go look at who went to jail for fraudulently voting in the 2020 election. The vast majority of them, all of them are Trump voters, and the vast majority of them came from the villages. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up. Venmo helps us out to help us get a new computer so that I can make graphics quicker. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, and thank you for being here, because you guys are wonderful. I adore you, and you're wonderful. Okay, now back to the Mutual Admiration Society. Now, okay, here we go. This is the timeline that's really fucked up. So, at 7:01, and this is after Trump has sent his, like, go-home video, you're very special, all that stuff. This is essentially they're like, remember this day forever, which in many ways is saying, stick around, come back tomorrow. We might be able to, jumpstart this shit and you can attack again. Just go, you forgot your guns, I guess. At 7:01 p.m., while co-conspirator 1 was calling United States senators on behalf of the defendant, the White House counsel called the defendant to ask him to withdraw any objections to allow the certification. The defendant refused. The attack on the Capitol obstructed and delayed the certification for approximately 6 hours. Let me move this over here. Until the Senate and House of Representatives came back into session separately at 8:06 p.m. and 9:02 p.m. respectively, and came together in a joint session at 11:35 p.m. Now, interestingly enough, this was never guaranteed, I would like to say, for the record. There was never a moment where you could say, like in retrospect, in hindsight, the Jan 6 failed and they never happened. They all got back together, and most likely, but for some, genuine, rolling up of tanks up the steps or something, it was going to end this way. It was going to be a futile effort. What Trump wanted he just wanted to watch a bunch of people die on his behalf, it seems. But at the very least, he was just getting off on the idea that, oh my God, these people are doing this for me, right? And then, of course, when it ends and it fails, it's we. So, all right. This was never guaranteed, though. Even though more than likely this was always going to turn out because idiots were in charge of this shitty insurrection, this failed insurrection. 11:44 p.m., co-conspirator 2 emailed the vice president's counsel advocating that the vice president violate the law and seek further delay of certification. Co-conspirator 2 wrote, "I implore you to consider one more relatively minor violation of the Electoral Count Act and adjourn for 10 days to allow legislatures to finish their investigation as well as allow a full forensic audit of massive amount of illegal activity that has occurred here." Okay. There was no massive amount of illegal activity, period, end of story. It just simply wasn't. And this, you might remember, well, let's see if I can find this. That this story was, hold on. Yeah. This, at this point, the theory is that, they were just kind of, they were calling senators going, hey, here's an idea. When in reality, we know that even as, well, I think as far back as this January 2nd, and perhaps even later, Ted Cruz was involved with another group of senators that were calling for an emergency 10-day audit of Electoral College results. They had been coordinating with him, and he was working with them. Eastman was number 2. Well, yeah, and that makes sense because from a legal standpoint, his his stuff is number 2. I'm just saying for the record. An anonymous.
Anonymous, really an anonymous.
I agree. So yes, John Eastman is number 2. I agree. So this part is okay. They do this, and then at 3:41 a.m. on January 7th, the president of the Senate, the vice president, announced the certification results of the 2020 presidential election in favor of Biden. That was that. That is done and fucking dusted. And then that's when Trump does his sort of callback, where he, and I want you to listen to this. This is an audio clip of this is Trump saying, it's one of the outtakes from his statement he made on the 7th, and they defiled the seat of power in the country or whatever, and he says defied, and that seems more like a Freudian slip than just a flub. Listen.
The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defied the seat of dust. It's defiled, right? See, I can't see it very well.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear that? Have defied the seat of it. Because he was saying they, won't take shit, essentially.
The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defied the seat of dust. It's defiled, right? See, I can't see it very well.
Uh-huh. And it's very telling that he mixes up the word defied and defiled. Whether he, anyways. Point being, he also is pissed. He also can't say capital, which is interesting because he chokes on his words. There are a bunch of times where he has these Kevin Kline in Fish Called Wanda saying I'm sorry, or Fonzie moments where he just can't get the words out, like bipartisan solutions.
Real bipartisan solutions.
Like he literally chokes on the words. And
the demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol.
The Capitol, like he can't get the word fucking capital out. Of course.
Yesterday's a hard word for me.
Mm-hmm. So imagine how you feel about tomorrow right now, dickhead. So now let's go to the next one that I have, and then we'll get to some clippage. Oh God. Okay, so this is the Giuliani shit. So give me 1 second, and I'm gonna drag this out a little bit bigger and remind everybody that you're watching Hal Sparks Megaworldwide, and I think that shows taste and breeding on your part. I like you. I hope you like yourself. Please give generously, as you always do, and help the show grow and expand, even if it's just your time, your clicks, and your shares. That's plenty, and I appreciate it. Now, I'm about to disgust you, and I apologize ahead of time that you are going to be disgusted, but you'll recall a little bit ago, this is related because co-conspirator numero uno, Blanco, who was, of course, Rudy Giuliani, also the trusted source behind the FD 1023. And wait, do I have this is going to be a rough one. This is Noelle Dunphy, who Rudy Giuliani manipulated and basically saw her like a vulture sees roadkill. That she'd been in this abusive relationship. He offered her free legal help, as putting his legal team and him on it, and he'd been this big problem. Like she could basically get her awful ex out of her life. And he would also pay her $1 million a year. And then he got her on, and then he didn't pay her, and then he was always deferring it, and he had to hide it, and he can't let people know he's paying her. So, and he would give her just like a little bit to pay her rent or whatever, but eventually it'll do this thing, and then he pounces on her at one point and forces her into oral sex, and then effectively at that point she's already. Anybody who's seen the show The Boys knows this. They've seen how this plays out in a lot of situations. It's totally disgusting. And I would like to say for the record that any man who engages in this kind of behavior is not a man. Yeah, I as the official spokesperson for tonic masculinity, I kick them out of the male sex. Anybody can, I guess, say whatever their gender is. That's up to them. But in terms of them being a male or a man, no. I'm sorry, you're being rejected. I have that ability. Whatever. I will forever non-gender Rudy Giuliani. How do you like that? Because of behavior like this. And by the way, women and non-binary people do not have to welcome him in. That doesn't mean he gets to jump to some other category. It doesn't work that way. This is part of the transcript from recordings that Noelle Dunphy has submitted as part of her case against him. Come here, big tits. Come here, big tits. Your tits belong to me. Give them to me. Indiscernible. I think we should all feel good that we don't hear some of this shit. I want to claim my tits. I want to claim my tits. I want to claim my tits. These are my tits. Dunphy says, oh yeah, Mr. Giuliani, these breasts belong to me. Nobody else can get near these, okay? I don't care if they're flirting or they give you a business cards. These are mine. You got it? Yes. Understand? I'm very fucking possessive. I've gone easy on you. I don't know. I've been easy on you. You're pretty tough on me. I've been easy on you. Give them to me. Maybe. So again, sexually, I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum, but gross. Just gross. No, 100 times no. He's a disgusting person. Now, there's this weird story where he's talking about spending time with her once they arrive wherever they're going. Mr. Giuliani, every place. You were finding a little place in the woods. Get off the airplane in a new city. On the airplane. Go right to the hotel. Give the valet money probably. On the dining room table. Or give the hooker money? Give some on the dining room table. Like they leave the money on. Yeah, and we go right ahead wherever on the floor of the living room as soon as we get in. We don't even make it to the bedroom. Yes, all the clothes come off. Oh yes, oh God. Let the doorman wait outside to bring the luggage. Wait. We need a little time alone. Yeah, I need a little time with my girlfriend here. That's right. With my daughter. That's right. With my little girl. Yeah. Yeah, that's America's mayor, ladies and gentlemen. Leave it to Rudy Giuliani to take Who's Your Daddy to the most disgusting literal level. Just absolutely coring out any genuine flirtatious silliness in something. Just make it gross. Just immediately go off the cliff. Bruh. Now, it's never been my thing either. And again, though I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum, that's your business. Now, this is something that he says about Jewish people, Jewish men in particular. And it seems to me that this is more like he thinks this is an Italian brag. The way natural selection works, Jewish men have small blanks because they can't use them after they get married, whereas the Italian men use them all the time in their lives, so they get bigger. Just barf. Yeah. And then I think that's the last one. Thank God. Yeah. Anyways, you guys, I apologize for dragging you into that, but that is from that Rudy Giuliani. We covered that. We covered Noel Dunphy's lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani. Now you're getting pissed off. Yeah, me too. It's grotesque. I don't understand it at all, and I'm glad I don't, because it's nasty. It's hideous. Yeah. I like even describing it. If I feel like it's not worth the effort to describe it. Yeah. Whew. Ugh. Ugh. It's just, yeah. But we're through that, and congratulations. Now, there is let's jump right in this. I want to get to the dumbest part. Okay, let's just jump right into some of the stuff that we're talking about. As far as the two big scandals that are going on. One, Trump's indictment, and two, the fact that Republicans still, after, I guess, 7 years, however long they've been after this stuff, have not been able to tie Joe Biden to anything that Hunter did, and even make what Hunter did illegal in any sense is driving them nuts. Now, one of the things that I think is fascinating, and let me see if I can bring this up. I want to bring, yeah, okay, hold on. Trying to go back. Yeah. There is where'd you go? Yeah, here it is. Let me blow this up a little bit so I can show it to you guys. So, real quick, you'll recall that the big story of this week was going to be, after the Gal Luft thing fell apart, the next one was going to be, they're going to whip out Devin Archer. Devin Archer's coming down, and he's going to he's going to spill the beans, he's going to dot the I's, he's going to cross the T's, he's going to give the linchpin, the fire, the smoking gun, the bloody knife, and that James Comer was assuring everyone, well, not assuring. I mean, when Sean Hannity asked Comer outright if there would be, if he could prove this, that Joe Biden had taken bribes and whatever, Comer's response was, "I hope so. After 2.5 fucking years, I hope so." Oy. Yes, you're right. I always bring up the links I'm talking about in this particular. You know what's the funniest part of this, though? The Devon Archer thing? You know what the funniest part? What's the funniest part? This part. James Comer wasn't even at the Devon Archer interview. He was on Fox News that night saying what was in it and how it was, what he said was amazing. And Dan Goldman was there, but Comer was not. And Comer went on every show that would have him, from Greg Kelly's show to Hannity. I don't think he was on Bannon's thing, because he stopped going on Bannon because Bannon's is mad that it isn't going anywhere. But he wasn't even there. Oversight Chairman James Comer keeps touting his committee's interview with Hunter Biden business associate Devon Archer. Turns out Comer wasn't even there. When Rep. James Comer, Republican of Kentucky, my home state, oh boy, made the rounds on primetime conservative cable TV on Monday night, it was to divulge the details of what Republicans called a bombshell day for their investigation into the Biden family. On Capitol Hill earlier that day, members of the House Oversight Committee privately interviewed Devon Archer, a longtime business partner. When Fox News' Sean Hannity asked Comer about major takeaways from the interview, Comer delved into what Archer had told the committee, claiming that it had made an alleged Biden bribery scandal more credible. Spoiler alert, it had not at all. In another Monday night interview on Newsmax, host Greg Kelly claimed that Rep. Daniel Goldman, who participated in the interview, looked spooked afterwards. "You were in the room," Kelly told Comer. "Are these guys recognizing that this is beyond their control now? The walls are closing in on the Bidens," Comer responded. Notice he didn't respond to the "you were in the room" part, because he wasn't. What Comer failed to mention was that he wasn't actually in the room for his committee's big interview with Archer. According to two sources familiar with the proceeding, Comer failed to show up in person on Capitol Hill, and he did not participate remotely. He wasn't even there. He didn't even Zoom Devon Archer. This was going to be it. The Galluft thing crashed and burned horribly. But Devon Archer, shit, we got Devon Archer. He was his partner. He started Rosemont Seneca. He bonded. He created Bohai and tied it with this other Chinese company before Hunter Biden was even a part of the whole process. He was going to tell us he knows where all the bodies are buried, right? I'll watch it on tape. Now, let's be honest. Does anybody, especially Republicans, think that this dude being present would have had any positive impact on the proceedings at all? Do you think he would have gone, wait a second, would there have been a Columbo moment coming from James Comer? Now, I notice, one more question, if I may, before I go blow myself. At no point was he going to be the person who went, wait a minute, I thought you said 1.56942, not 1.56742. Make a note of that. We'll get back to that later. You goddamn right you better be sweating. It's just so fucking goofy. So, this is him on Newsmax. Comer, this is Rep. James Comer, provides updates on investigation into President Joe Biden while establishment media fawns over the latest indictment of 45. They're not even mentioning his name. That's weird, Newsmax. They're not even using a bad picture. Usually they use the pictures of Biden where he's like looking up into the rafters to make him look dumb. He's just walking now. I guess the slight tilt down of his head is supposed to make you feel like, oh shit, I'm in trouble, or a profile picture, and we're supposed to think that that's like a mugshot. Meanwhile, you want to talk mugshots? Good Lord. All right, here. So this is James Comer on Newsmax making everyone aware why it didn't matter that he wasn't at that Devon Archer deposition, because he wouldn't have been helpful at all or understood what was being discussed anyways.
Continuing our breaking coverage, another Trump
Oh, it's Rob Schitt. I didn't realize that Rob Schitt, like, by the way, if you, if you think Steve Bannon is mad that Comer keeps coming up empty-handed, he gets apoplectic about this stuff.
President Trump indicted for a third time, the second time by establishment stooge Jack Smith.
Establishment stooge Jack Smith. Yes, he's fighting on behalf of the establishment of the Constitution.
This just one day after Hunter Biden's former best friend and business partner Devon Archer dropped the bomb.
Yeah, he dropped the bomb. Apparently, he was going to bring it, but he just it fell off. It hit his foot and rolled off the bus, and he dropped the bomb. He was going to bring it, but there was no bomb at all. Actually,
on the sitting president of the United States testified.
He dropped a bomb on the sitting president of the United States. It doesn't sound like a threat or anything.
That Burisma executives, which were paying the Bidens millions of dollars.
Ooh. Paying the Bidens $millions of dollars
while Joe Biden was a vice president, called Washington, D.C. for help in getting
the whole city. Oh my God, their long distance whatever charges must have been through the roof. They called Washington, D.C. Gee, I wonder if there were any defenders of Shokin. And a couple things real quick, if I may. Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Number one, Victor Shokin was well known for extorting businesses by starting investigations and then not following through as long as you paid him. The other thing was he was godfather to Poroshenko's grandkids. Grandkids. And so Poroshenko didn't want to get rid of him because they had family ties, and he was kicking money back to Poroshenko. Poroshenko actually at one point said, hey, do me a favor, step aside for a little while, we'll get our money, and then we'll put you back in, and you can get back to doing your bullshit. And Shokin was so greedy, he said no. Shokin's whole thing was start an investigation and then basically make them pay you to leave the investigation stalled on in a file cabinet someplace. And the day you stop paying me, that folder finds its way to a desk. That's how it worked. That's how Ukraine worked as Russia tried to undermine it from within for ages.
The prosecutor general in Ukraine fired.
Yes, along with the IMF, who, by the way, I don't know what Victor Shokin had, or Zlochevsky or anybody at Burisma had on the entire International Monetary Fund, but they were withholding $70 billion to get him kicked, to the curb, get Shokin kicked out of there. 70, not one in loan guarantees, actual money.
And remember, Joe Biden ended up on camera bragging about firing, or getting that man fired, I should say.
Wait,
House Oversight Committee Chairman Congress.
The past wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, he ended up on camera. He didn't end up on camera. He ended up on a stage on purpose. He didn't end up there. He accepted a speaking engagement, and he bragged about doing his job well. Again, the entire argument about this Shokin firing dies with two words. Call him.
Comer was there yesterday for the Devon Archer
he's out of Paducah. Explains a lot. No offense, Paducah.
Position, and he joins me now. Good to have you back on, sir. Let's talk first.
Is it, though?
The indictment here today, just one day after the bombshell yesterday that most of the media conveniently ignored.
Did they? I don't know. I didn't ignore it. And I know I'm not most of the media, but I'm the good parts.
Yeah, look, the American people believe overwhelmingly that the Department of Justice has become weaponized against conservatives. This is
First of all, no, they don't. Secondly, if big sections of your electorate believe that, that's your fucking fault. It's not based on reality.
further proof of that, but I believe with all
Yeah, that's like saying a majority of Americans in 1951 believed the Earth was 3,000 years old. And
my heart, especially after talking to people in Kentucky, that the more they do, the more unintended consequences they have of making Donald Trump more popular with the American people.
Not so much. No.
Right.
The American people see a corrupt government and they want someone to go in and change it. And
And he had 4 years and all he did was make it worse. But
right now, of all the presidential candidates, the majority of the people in my home state believe that Donald Trump's the one guy that can actually drain the swamp.
I see. So this is about your reelection in a very narrow area around Paducah. Cool.
Right. I mean, and again, I can't emphasize this enough.
Sure you could. I think you've actually emphasized it too much, whatever it is.
If they really wanted what they're doing to Trump to be impactful, they'd have to level the same kind of fury at everyone else that commits crimes. And when
at everyone else that commits crimes. You know what? You're right. Any other president that encourages people to attack the Capitol during the Electoral Count Act, I agree. They should get equal treatment. They should get their ass handed to them legally. We just haven't had any others since the Civil War, I suppose.
you don't, you are not only are you, it's not going to work.
Nah, it's not going to work. I mean, he is going to go to jail probably, but
You're going to cost yourself so much credibility. And right now, the American government is bleeding credibility because
because Donald Trump once ran it.
the way it's acting. I just mentioned
Because of the way it's acting. All right, U.S. government, your attitude, young man, is getting a little much, Mr. Big Pants.
that the Burisma executives, Devin Archer testified yesterday, that the Burisma executives called D.C. for help in getting that prosecutor fired.
So real quick, James Comer, were you by any chance in D.C. at that time? Because as a defendant of Shokin and a person who believes that Shokin was maligned and fired without cause, you would be at the top of his list of the type of person he would call. Now, also Zlochevsky, if you were paying someone and you were afraid that the next person would continue the investigation, if Shokin gets out, I mean, you could at least pay him to keep quiet. But if the next guy comes in and is just going to go after stuff, that folder is going to find its way to the desk. So that's money well spent. So obviously he's, if they're calling DC, they're going to want you to make sure, protect Shokin. Right? Right?
Your colleague, Dan Goldman, ran outside of that hearing yesterday in full Adam Schiff mode.
Oh, you mean full of truth and vim and vigor?
I ran outside and I believe effectively lied to the American people.
Effectively lied to the American. Well, you know what? You're talking to the right guy, because Dan Goldman. Sorry, where did he come from? Where did Dan Goldman? I got to see real quick. Where Dan Goldman? He came from where? Where?
Your colleague Dan Goldman ran outside of that hearing yesterday.
Ran outside of that hearing. So he ran outside. So that means he was. Help me out here. He was inside the hearing, I think. Is that what I'm supposed to?
Your colleague, Dan Goldman, ran outside of that hearing yesterday in full Adam Schiff mode. Ran outside, and I believe
he ran outside. So he definitely ran outside. You're saying he ran outside. You're saying he ran outside.
He effectively lied to the American people and said that that there's no evidence at all that Joe Biden did anything, that he was a part of any of this. But in reality, the testimony that we heard yesterday from Devin Archer, one of Hunter Biden's best friends, says that they called Washington to get help to get this prosecutor fired, and then we know what happened next.
No, you didn't. That wasn't what was said at all. I mean, the part about them calling Washington was part of it. And they called about the prosecutor. But that doesn't, allegedly, according to Devin Archer, because he wasn't there for that phone call. And if they were, yeah, the idea is that they could have been calling to keep him in place. At least Zlovchevsky wanted him there.
Yeah, Goldman ran out and lied during.
Oh, did he? Did he run out? Are you sure he ran out? You were there, right?
A transcribed interview. Very unprofessional. But again, this is what the Democrats do. They
Sorry, he what?
A transcribed interview. Yeah, Goldman ran out and lied during a transcribed interview. Very unprofessional.
Ran out and lied during a transcribed interview. Okay, first of all, after. Secondly, very unprofessional. Why? Because he went out and told you what was actually said. He.
But again, this is what the Democrats do. They go.
Yes, they show up at the actual interview, ask questions, and then speak about it afterwards. Is it the running you had a problem with, or
a transcribed?
Hold on.
Yeah, Goldman ran out and lied during a transcribed interview. Very unprofessional.
Very unprofessional, which is just what the shit. I think it's not the lying I have a problem with. I can't even assert that he is lying because I wasn't there. But it was during a transcribed interview. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about.
But again, this is what the Democrats do. They go out and they tell their partners in crime with the mainstream media what to write. And they wrote it and they ran with it. And many of the mainstream media outlets went with Goldman's comments before the transcribed interview was even finished, before I even issued a statement.
They loved it.
Before I even issued a statement. Well, you know what, fuckhead? If you'd have been there, you could have walked right out. You wouldn't even have to run. Although I would have run if I were you, just to get out ahead of Goldman, who was apparently running out of there. Although I saw the video and he walked, but we'll get there.
Look, I believe that
the children are our future. That we should treat them well and let them lead the way? I don't know. I think adults are our future. I think kids turn into them, though. So, yeah.
Archer could have been more specific in who they called in D.C. But
yes, you're right. Because let me see. 1 second, everybody. I just have to check one thing. Devin Archer could have been more specific of who they called in D.C. Okay. Because there's one, there's 712,816 people as of 2020 in DC. So, yeah, it would have been probably helpful if they just called DC. It could have been, so the odds of it being Joe Biden are, let's say, because it's his dad, 50%. 712,816 people as of 2020. Obviously, it was down a little bit in 2020 from, let's say, wait, hold on. It's up from, here we go. It was actually on a climb. And there's a growth industry. Look at that. Let's go to, around there. It's still in the 700,000 range. That's all right. So I wish he'd been more specific. Yeah, I bet you do. Now, why wouldn't he have been? Well, because it didn't help.
That Archer could have been more specific in who they called in D.C., but at the end of the day, he admitted.
No. You either have him saying they called Biden or you don't. You know how many just law firms there are in D.C.? Do you know how many conversations, You know how many people related to any of this there are to talk to, both pro and con?
That Burisma executives were squeezing Hunter Biden to try to do everything he could to get
Joe Biden to agree with the International Monetary Fund, the EU, Barack Obama, and Congress. Quite the squeeze. I gotta say, I gotta give it up for Hunter Biden and his dad for getting apparently millions of dollars to do shit they were gonna do anyways. Amazing. That is one of the greatest extortion schemes I've ever, or bribery schemes I've ever seen.
the prosecutor Shokin fired because they were going after their corrupt energy company.
I'm sorry. Again, how's Burisma doing now? I mean, first of all, what is it? I would love to ask both of these dickheads, and I'm obviously not talking about Dan Goldman. They just put his picture up there just to look, I don't know. They just find something smoky and pouty that he's put up. Hi, I'm Dan Goldman. What's going on, ladies? I'm going for that like tech billionaire look. I'm pouty. You know, brains are difficult to carry around. My head hurts from so much brains and so much sexy. Meanwhile, derp. But I would like to ask both these guys, what real quick, what is Burisma Holdings? What is it? What do they do? Is it, strictly speaking, an oil and gas company? Or is it an investment collective around oil and gas? And at what point did it go from being an oil and gas company to an investment collective for different projects? Does anybody know? Anybody care to figure out when that happened? And what was actually better for people who had invested in it? Does anybody want to take a... Here's a hint. Apparently, it happened during and after the time the guy who knew nothing about oil and gas showed up and saved the company. Yes, you can still, Bonnie. Thank you very much. Appreciate you asking. I just don't have... I only have the Venmo up right now because of video picture files. It's a thing. Sorry. Okay. Neither one of these assholes knows what Burisma does.
A few days later, Joe Biden actually did that.
And then Joe Biden
Yes. And what did the IMF do? What two words fuck your entire argument? Call him.
dangled $1 billion of our dollars over.
No. Not $1 billion of our dollars. It was a loan guarantee, stupid. The money didn't come from us. The money would come from the IMF. The United States would back it up just in case it didn't get repaid. And you know what? It not only got repaid, we made a profit on it.
Ukraine's president to get that done. I mean, it's one.
Wait. Who was the president at that point? Who was president of Ukraine when that happened? What was the name of the... do you think either of these guys could tell you that it was Petro Poroshenko? Do you think either one of them knows that Viktor Shokin was the godfather, fantastic, of the grandchildren of Petro Poroshenko? Which, I mean, obviously doesn't sound like there's any kind of like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours in the government of Ukraine at that point.
One of the most explosive scandals you've never heard about, because...
Well, I've heard about it, and my viewers have heard about it, because I tell them about it, and I explain it. You've never heard about it, and this asshole doesn't even know what you're talking about.
Because most of the media is not telling most Americans, and the Americans that just wake up and turn on GMA and the Today Show have no...
Fucking Americans, am I right? You tell them, Rob. That's the thing. I think when in doubt, shit on Americans. I think it's a great business model, Newsmax. I think you might have to rethink your red, white, and blue themed lower thirds, though. Just for, although I will say you use so much of the red to try and show that you're a Republican channel that it looks borderline Stalinist at times. Just letting you know.
No idea this is going on, and that's the point. That's how.
That is the point. See, they have no idea this is going on. What? The thing with the guy and what's happening. What's happening? Where he was with the guy and he did the thing and they didn't want him to do the thing and he did it and then they stopped him from doing it because Biden crime family.
How bad it's gotten.
Yeah, history will show that this is one of the biggest crimes ever committed.
No. Not even close. Dude, the accumulated money paid by China, Ukraine, and the mayor of Moscow's wife to Rosemont Seneca and their secondary companies, to multiple people, to Archer, to whatever, Heinz and Whitey Bulger's kid and Hunter Biden and Shemp Biden, whoever the hell else, all of it together, everyone involved, every employee, every partner, every possible piece of money that was diverted to use to invest in another thing, to raise money elsewhere for other people, all of it together is less than the amount that was put into Trump's Chinese bank account in one fucking night while he was president after he killed TPP.
By any politician, especially a president of the United States.
Are we?
Well, obviously he was he wasn't even vice president when this happened. You mean one of the biggest crimes ever committed that was legal business in theory by a former vice president who is, yeah, I don't know.
Are we talking impeachment, inquiry? I mean, at this
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Inquire about it. Inquiring minds want to know.
point, I can't fathom any Republican, and you guys have the House, how could any Republican not say that this is worthy of an inquiry?
Well, hi, stupid. I'll tell you why. Because this guy has been in charge of the inquiry this entire time, and he's done nothing but screw the pooch. Because they've had one nonstop, and they can't find anything. And they ask him. The reason Republicans aren't all in on an impeachment inquiry is because it means throwing their entire political future in behind this dickhead. That's why.
I mean, that person, yeah. I think, should be tossed out immediately. How could they vote against that?
Ugh, how could they? Rhinos. Rhinos, they smell. I don't like them.
Well, Rob, as you know, we had a few skeptics, a few people concerned.
Yes, and now you have more.
For various reasons. But I've spoken with Speaker McCarthy, who's always been on our side on this. I believe that the skeptics realized yesterday with yes. Devin Archer's testimony that we need to move forward and we need to move forward quickly. So,
why? Why do you need to? Is the evidence you? I'll talk about how mad Cat Turd got into. Oh yeah, I saw. Yeah, that's a. If I may, this is here. I'll show you. This was pretty funny because I made a point of this earlier. We'll get to this. Dear loser Republican Party, you have officially pushed us too far with your weakness. I, along with millions of others, will never vote for your party again except on a very rare occasion, which I preach. Occasionally they'll do it if you're really gross. You are spineless, worthless, neocon, do-nothing cowards. You give zero value to your base. Stop sending me a request to give you money. You'll never get a dime from me. After 40 years, I'll be registering as an independent this week. Good luck with winning in the future without the America First MAGA vote. I'll vote for Trump, but never any one of you useless cowards again. When you've lost cat shit, where do you go from there? I mean, like you're done, son. Pack it in. This is, by the way, the fact that they rely so much on a fake account based, made by some dude who calls himself Cat Turd. And by the way, Cat Turd 2, because his first account got kicked to the curb for whatever violent horse shit he was doing or just being gross. So he doesn't even he didn't even have his original account back. Elon Musk is, champion of free speech, being what he is. He can't even get back his original. Well, it's just sad. I personally believe he just lost his password. That's my guess. But let's be abundantly clear. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if these people are upset with their party and whatnot. It's not my business. But I will enjoy it, and I will tell you that I am not surprised. And this is not exactly a get out the vote platform campaign. Yeah, I don't know how you turn this into people voting Republican next time. No idea. And secondly, let's say this asshole's going to show up. He's going to vote for Trump, but he's going to leave Republicans, probably other than judges that he thinks are absolute whack jobs, blank. He's going to blow it off. And what he's going to get for it, and I'm fine with this, is Democratic control of the House and the Senate. And Trump isn't going to win because there aren't enough morons like this who buy into this scheme. So you're fine. Knock yourself out. But this is the house that Trump built. This is exactly it. And he's just wigging the fuck out because the indictment happened, because Trump deserved it. And I got news for you. I don't know why Cat Turd and Glenn Beck and Rusty Trombone and all that crowd, why they're even worried about the newest indictment. Because honestly, the documents case is so bad for Trump, the rest won't matter. It's one of those situations where like a serial killer gets like 19 100-year sentences, and then they're like, now we're gonna try you in Denver, and they're like, all right, well, I mean, obviously I'm not gonna just not gonna find out that all I'm gonna do. What am I gonna do? Concurrent 100-year sentences at the same? I'm dead. This is it. It's the same thing. By the time they get around to the insurrection part of this shit, although it might come sooner than the Docs case, ironically enough, although he'll try to punt it, he's not. He's gonna have a stack of convictions. Again, least of his worries compared to like. I'd say George is the least of his worries, because again, it's the one where he can plead dumb and make that case effectively, the easiest. Meanwhile, though, if I may, I adore you guys, and I want to say hi real quick before we continue this video. Like, subscribe, give the thumbs up, support the show, blah, diddy, blah, diddy, blah. I'm terrible at this stuff, and I'm trying to get better at it, and by God, a man's got to eat, and I don't eat as much as I used to, but I eat plenty. When and how does a congressional investigation end? Who decides? Basically, when they run out of funding or the tide changes. I mean, look at fucking Benghazi. It went on and on and on and on and on. And what happened? Nothing. 45 wanted his hotel in Moscow. It could have been a PP tape factory. Ka-ching. Yeah. Convictions galore. Yes. So, I like food. I do. I like food, and I would like, considering my my union is on strike, and there's no real setup for us while we can't work for our if our insurance lapses, be nice to have this show be more profitable. So please share it. That's all I ask. Okay, let people know. Let's get to 100K. It'll help. A little volume, please. Am I quiet? Or is the video quiet? I'm sorry about that. I will try and I'll see what I can do there. Give me 1 second. And we go back to this. Okay, now, what was this dummy saying? I've given up on them a long time ago.
Right.
Hopefully you're going to see some action from the House of Representatives very soon.
Right. Any Republican.
Oh, yeah. Action. Give me some action. I want action tonight. Satisfaction. All right. Got the love I need tonight. Yeah.
That votes against that, I think, primary him. Because if you can't have an.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Rob Shit, for honestly, I applaud you. Yes, I think that anyone who doesn't follow this dickhead down a sketchy path in a forest in the middle of the night with no flashlight, like you're asking them to do, that person deserves whatever's coming to them, and that you should, I don't know, throw rocks at them or something. you have any idea how stupid this man is from a political standpoint? Yes, that was a Poison song. Well done. Oh, thanks for the strike fund. Thanks, it's getting it Getter 9. Bless you. All right, here we go.
Inquiry over this. What can you, especially?
Yeah, I know. If you can't, after the Devin Archer testimony, I mean, that was devastating. They called a city with 768,000 people in it. If that's not, what evidence can you possibly, why? I mean, honestly, how do you not, hello? Can you imagine? Can you fucking imagine being that dumb? I can't even wrap my head around being that stupid. They called Washington, D.C. Oh, God. I wish they could be more specific. Yeah. I bet you do. Dum-dum. Good Lord. Fuck, this is stupid.
After 2 impeachments of the last president, one of which has been completely shredded by what
No, it has not.
we know now about
That's
Ukraine.
right.
That's right.
No. It is the Zelensky call thing has not been shredded. Fuck are you talking about? How can you sing Deb a lullaby? Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know. How quickly do you need to fall asleep? Because I've got to give me a minute because I got to think of some songs without high notes in them so I don't accidentally wake you up. After all the voices become silent and left is ringing in your ears, there is a time to take it easy. There is a time to numb your fears. Oh, rivers rising. Oh, higher, higher. There you go. How about that? That should, if you're not out by now, I can't help you because I'll immediately go into like a Kiss song if I'm not careful. It's just, so you get it. Okay. I relaxed myself on that one. All right. So, needless to say, there's plenty of dumb going around. And while we've just had some super fun dumb when it comes to the background story of the failed Devin Archer, I don't know, was a hearing, a listening party. Let's just call it a listening party. And what the Gal Luft testimony that never was and never will be. Meanwhile, let's get someone's moronic take, and I don't even need to do all of this one, on the Trump indictments. This is Glenn Beck. Why Trump's third indictment could set a dangerous precedent. What do you think? I don't know. Because you know I don't pre-watch these things. Because I feel like that's cheating. And I'm talking to you, Sitch and Adam. That you should be able to have recall and draw up what you're talking about, like, instead of like, oh, I found the perfect gotcha video where they say all the wrong things and none of the right things. It makes my job easy. What's on trial here? I think Trump's nunt. How about that's what seems to be. Also, you know what else is on trial? Glenn Beck's weird Gerber baby food Campbell's soup can filter that he throws on himself. And also his Benny Hinn hairdo that is increasing in loft. All right, here we go. I'm not going to do all this one.
So let's go through this. Biden's Department of Justice basically just handed down a charge of criminal misinformation.
Yeah, he's going with the free speech idea. Yeah, this is going to be stupid. Look, just because Trump said some things, okay, now what? What? Saying things is illegal? We can't even speak now? That's what they want. That's what they wanted, the Ministry of Truth. This is so 1984.
And that's
good. Yeah.
Seemingly made-up crime somehow led to a coordinated assault.
You know, it actually in the indictment says this is not about the words he said, it's about the actions he took. You know that, right?
On the Capitol on January 6th.
Right. When a general says charge, that's just him saying exercising free speech. If he says charge and sends his troops to kill women and children using bayonets and chainsaws, that's not a war crime. It's just free speech. He just said things, and they did the things, if they even did them. I mean, who maybe it was a giant mass chainsaw suicide.
Now, this is a game-changing precedent. If
No, it's not.
Trump is convicted on this, is misinformation now a crime under case law?
No. Next.
Are untrue political statements made by politicians or others, in other words, 99% of every 99% of everything politicians ever say?
By the way, hack bullshit. Stuff that, by the way, Glenn Beck doesn't even believe himself. If 99% of what 99% of them ever say, then who the fuck is he voting for? Ever? Is he walking into the booth going, can't wait to vote for 6 of these liars and 2 of these bullshit artists?
Is it now a potential crime?
No, it's not. No, it isn't. It is not. It isn't. I don't know what else to tell you.
If misinformation is...
It's not misinformation. It's instructing people to violate the Constitution as the president of the United States. I gotta say, even if they made it that the president couldn't commit acts of misinformation leading to violent insurrection, and thread it as narrowly or as broadly as they wanted to, the chances of any of us violating it would be fairly slim. I mean, we would have to be A, president, and B, colossal assholes.
A crime, will they ever go after, let's say, the Washington Post for the crimes of misinformation that they have done on Hunter Biden?
I agree. I mean, I think that if anything, that article that I went after that said this is how they verified the Hunter Biden laptop, when they in fact had never seen the Hunter Biden laptop, they never even claimed to lay their eyes on it. So therefore, even using that in an editorial or in a sense or as clickbait on a title is in fact misinformation. The fact that it was called a forensic nightmare by their own techs, and in the beginning of the article, they talk about verifying it. Well, you can't verify something that your own techs call a forensic nightmare. As a matter of fact, you are doing the opposite of verifying it. So I don't think so. I don't think we're... and I'm glad you care, Glenn. I'm glad that you actually give a shit.
Under that precedent, are the actions of others considered the fault of the person that committed the said crime?
Okay, one of two things is happening. Glenn is just using words to get to break again, or like leading you into this, like, we'll explain this later bullshit that he does, where he does his like these bi-monthly specials or whatever the fuck he does. Or he's afraid that shit he said is going to suddenly be illegal, which it isn't, because nobody cares.
We have to be very careful. What exactly is on trial here?
A president with the power to control the military and the halls of the Department of Justice with people that he had put in place, and his attempts to manipulate the forces of the U.S. government after he had lost an election to maintain power he did not earn. That's what's on that. I mean, if you did you really want to know, or are you just making chit chat?
Is it political speech?
No. This is easier than I thought.
Is it lies?
Well, I hope not for your sake.
Is it anything the regime doesn't like said?
Regime doesn't like said. I know that I bet if you polled everybody who works in the White House, the majority of them would not like the word moist. even when it's used to describe cupcakes or muffins. But I don't think they're going to legislate.
And does it matter who said it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think if the chef says moist, it's better than somebody who's pointing at their shoes.
A judge assigned to this case is an Obama appointee. Okay, fine.
Fine. He has to say that because Eileen Cannon.
In Washington, D.C., her name is Tanya Chutkan. She is the only judge in D.C. who has handed down sentences to January 6 defendants that were longer than the government requested.
How many other judges were there? Is she assigned all the big violent cases? Are the newer judges only assigned like the petty misdemeanor things? Fuck you.
To say Trump is attending a trial behind enemy lines is an understatement.
No, it isn't. He has, if he was behind, quote, enemy lines, he wouldn't have any legal rights whatsoever. If you don't believe me, here's a good idea. Put a tape recorder in his pocket and drop him over the North Korean border. Oh, and dye his hair brown and you know, put contacts in his eyes so they don't immediately recognize him.
This is a witch hunt.
So you're saying Donald Trump is a witch? I don't buy it. Because I would believe that there's a spell that would get rid of that slit in your... Ugh.
They want to throw him in jail, and all of the people are in place to make this happen.
By the way, I would like to say for the record, this is nonsense. I do not want Donald Trump thrown in jail. I don't want him thrown in jail. I want him walked into jail. Probably with small steps, because if they've got the shackles, because you got to treat him like everybody else. You can't have a two-tiered justice system, right? If everybody at that prison has to wear shackles, why should he be any different? Just because he can't run. And I mean, but I don't want him thrown in jail. I want him, shit, you can walk him in there holding his elbow for all I fucking care.
This indictment focuses on events that happened in 2020, but don't be fooled.
No. No. It was part of an ongoing thing. As a matter of fact, a lot of this happened in 2021. If you'll recall, that's when January 6th was. I'm fine. I'm all right. Fucking stupid. Oh, no. January 6th was in 2021. You back.
Free health care for illegal...
It has nothing to do with 2020 and everything to do with 2024.
Well, or 2021, actually.
I want to show you an interesting timeline.
Okay.
Tell me if this doesn't look curious.
Oh, okay. We're not going to see, like, before and after pictures of Stu, are we? Like, before Sonic, after Sonic? No.
June 7th, the FBI releases...
Oh, yes. Somebody asked in the chat room, by the way, I will be on Tony Michael's show tomorrow at 10 a.m. my time, I believe. Yes, the pressure campaign worked. He was like, everybody's saying you're going to be on my show tomorrow. Is that true? Can we, what time? I'm like, oh, how about this? And hopefully that works for him.
Documents to Congress alleging that the Bidens took $10 million bribe from Burisma.
Took $10 million bribe from Burisma. Took I guess, or multiple, but the idea. Okay, run that by me again.
Documents to Congress alleging that the Bidens took $10 million bribe from Burisma. The very next day, June 8th, Jack Smith indicts Trump in Mar-a-Lago document case.
No, the grand jury did that. And they had already started the process by which the grand jury would wind down what they were doing. It was already in sort of in the news, and everybody's like, is an indictment going to come forward, or are they going to unseal the indictment? So the timing of the Hunter Biden stuff, or the timing of more, actually the Comer shit, is more in line with being a reaction to Trump's indictments than the other way around.
July 26th.
Because again, it's an ongoing grand jury. So the grand jury is either done or it's continuing. And quite frankly, once they continue, if they're continuing, it looks worse and worse and worse.
Hunter Biden goes to court and rejects the sweetheart plea deal after it was revealed the DOJ tried to give him.
Wait, Hunter Biden rejected the sweetheart deal? What was he thinking?
Rejects the case. July 26. Hunter Biden goes to court and rejects the sweetheart plea deal.
I don't know. What? Obviously, he's back on the pipe. Yes, how many millions of dollars did Victor Shokin and Burisma pay to the grand jury members? We'll never know. I'm just asking questions.
After it was revealed the DOJ tried to give him blanket immunity from all future prosecutions.
I can see why he would turn that down. Yeah. Apparently, so that's the story you're seeing. This man is reading. Read that to me again, stupid.
Indicts Trump in Mar-a-Lago document case.
Right, after a grand jury looked at all the evidence, and then the process was coming. Yeah.
July 26, Hunter Biden goes to court and rejects the sweetheart plea deal after it was revealed the DOJ tried to give him blanket immunity from all future prosecutions.
Jesus Christ. All right, that settles it. Hunter Biden is the most honest person ever. What? Who does that? Oh, Glenn, you putz.
The very next
Stu's not even stepping in to help him. They're not even bothering.
day, July 27th, Jack Smith adds more charges for Trump in the Mar-a-Lago case. July 31st, Hunter.
What happened on the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th? Huh? Why'd everything go quiet?
Biden's former business partner testifies to Congress that Joe Biden was on over 20 calls with his son's business partners.
No, that's not what he said. He said that Joe Biden, over the course of 2 decades, called his son every single day. Every single day. Spoke to his son every day. I love you, son. How you doing? We've heard some of the recordings. Worried about his addiction. Lost his other son. Was worried he would lose his only leftover son to, God knows, fentanyl or some shit like that. Calls him every day. Jill calls him. They worry about him. Blah, blah, blah. And over the course of 2 decades, 20 times, other people were present. And he's like, hey, Dad, I'm sitting here on speakerphone. Gary's here and Stan and Viditjorf and Glunded Flurgen. And they're all sitting here with Chow Yun Fing and Yam Yo Bot and Yayo Gat. And hi, guys, how's the weather? Aha! That's you don't understand. Joe Biden was vice president at the time, and he had control of the weather control systems from DARPA. How's the weather? How would you like it to be? Bazap.
And that
I have folks, not a joke. I've got a button for Jewish space laser right here on my desk.
Burisma executives pressured them to fire the prosecutor. The very next day, Jack Smith indicts Trump again for January 6th. Wow, that is a series of really remarkable coincidences, isn't it?
Well, it looks like the Republicans are taking old news and new bullshit and trying to mix it together into a conspiratorial soup. And then they are just having ongoing investigations that aren't going anywhere, but they can release or schedule things when they see that the grand jury or an indictment is coming down. Yeah, I mean, pretty obvious. Also, who in the chat has the laptop? I just saw somebody say they had the laptop. Who was it? Who's got it this week? Buzzkill Monkey still has it. Okay. Pass it around. Don't bogart the laptop. It's just not done.
This government being run by Joe Biden and his allies.
Allies. If you know what I mean.
Are using every deep state trick they can.
That's right. They're using the Jewish space lasers to shoot Donald Trump with a mind control MK Ultra reflexor array that hits him right in the forehead, bounces around until it finds some usable brain cells, and then makes him refuse to return classified documents and sign deals with the Saudis at the same time while storing them in a shitter near a public stage at his property. Oh, Joe Biden, you are so insidious.
They seem to be working hand in hand with the left now for
So it's a communist plot.
several years.
For several years. The left, what do you mean? Because I don't, at this point, when he says the left, it could be like some woke bullshit that he's talking about, you know, that everybody, the wokety wokes, or communists and Marxists, or just Democrats. I got news for you. Joe Biden's been working with the Democrats for a long time.
Their next big target is 2024.
Well, the next big election, sure. What the fuck do you think the Republicans are doing all this Hunter Biden shit for, dummy?
And it is something Democrats have been getting ready for years.
Well, because it's a 3 years. Oh, good Lord.
They have been building systems, plans, and helping impose new election laws that will turn the 2020 debacle into the new normal.
No, it won't. Like, that's what Trump's shooting for. And he's going to succeed because he's going to totally fuck the Republican Party. And if you don't believe me, ask cat shit over here. Dear loser Republican Party. Yeah, that's the deep state. That's the cat shit is a member of the deep state now. That's just, and by the way, where are we? Hold on, let me scroll this out. I'm gonna jump in here real quick and say hi before I run out of time. And Anita Blake, hi, how are you? Hello. Yeah, get ready for your FEMA camps, everybody. Hal likes Clint. Do I? I love all these Looney Tunes dummies. Well, it's again, I'm not dehumanizing anybody. I'm not saying he's not a human being. Just saying he's a fucking idiot. Deanne, hello. Hello, Ireland. How are you? At some point, I'm going to have to watch some Dylan Martin, sir, in my kaflinkle as I stir it into my filter pot. Your union is suggesting streamers shut down support. Really? Well, that's not going to happen because the streamers aren't in AFTRA. Here's the thing. Do I think AFTRA should incorporate streamers in at a certain point you can join the union based on your streaming capacity? That'd be fucking awesome. But at a certain point, there is no streaming union or anything like it. And if anything, it just sets it up so that only union members or people who are sympathetic to it will shut down, and therefore it'll allow other people to gain ground who aren't for that because it's silly. Anyways, hi, hey Carl, how are you? It's gotten to the point of cancel everything. No, we're not to that point. Actually, I've been babysitting Hunter's laptop for the FBI since 2000. Son of a bitch, Gracie. Why would you not let us know next time? For God's sake, we were all looking for it. We thought we'd found it. And yet,
tonight I'm going to lay out all of this on my Wednesday night special.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. All right, that's it. That's worse than a gold ad, jerkweed. Ugh. I do. All right. All right, let's go to something dumber.
The indictment.
The indictment.
Latest indictment, and you don't have to be a lawyer to know that this is a total sham.
But it helps.
This is not a legal document.
Okay, go for it.
It is totally political.
Oh, I see. It's not a legal document, it's just policy. This is basically like a transcription of the January 6th committee. This is all political. Hey, asshole, it was a political crime. The leader of one party lost the election and was using illegal means to try and maintain power as a politician. Of course, it's fucking politics.
I mean, seriously,
Seriously.
anybody can understand this. Anyone can see that it's hyper political. All kinds of weird partisan political observations, all kinds of mistakes.
Mistakes? Well, I mean, I do think it was a mistake for Trump to even try.
And it's all intended to distract us. And I won't let it. I'm going to get to this
I'm not gonna let
in
it.
a little bit. But do you know the whole political world once again shifted yesterday?
Did it?
There can be no excuse for anyone in this country to not be completely and totally convinced that Joe Biden is a congenital liar.
I did not know he was on the board of that company. I've never discussed my business or their business, my sons or daughters. I did my job. I never discussed a single thing with my son about anything having to do with Ukraine. No one has indicated I have.
It goes
We've
on
always
and
kept
on like
everything
this. You've
separate.
seen
I
it
have never
before.
Right. And according to Devon Archer, he's telling the truth.
And it's all untrue. This is a guy who told us that he would level with us. He was Mr. Integrity.
Right. And Devon Archer said 20 times in 2 decades, he was on the phone and other people were there, and all he did was talk about the weather and say hello. Again, show me the contract. And is that, wait a minute. Is that a young Alina Chaba? I'm not kidding. Over there. Like, it might not be, but it kind of... Am I the only one? Like from, and this is from 2020, like 2019. I think it very well might be. That's crazy.
Lunch Pail Joe. And everything is a lie.
Everything's a lie. He's a lie. He never took the train. He doesn't have any children. He's not married. He's gay. He's black. He's short and tall. His hands are gigantic and tiny at the same time. He doesn't ride a bicycle. It's all CGI.
Campaign is a lie. His whole life is a lie.
Everything's a lie. Tell us all about your dad getting you out from under that sexual assault. It was a bad time to bring that up.
Remember in 1987 when he got busted bragging about college degrees he didn't have and honors that he never got? Anyway, yesterday we found out this is actually quite new.
Okay, new stuff.
That Joe himself got on the phone with Hunter's weirdo business associates.
His weirdo business
overseas.
At least 20 calls to ask them how the weather was.
And just said, hello, how's the weather? We know he...
Hello, how's the weather? We're inside, Dad. I can't tell you right now. Well, go check, goddammit. I'm old. These are the questions I ask.
He was facilitating...
I wanted to be with you alone and talk about the weather.
Potentially a bribery scheme. And
yes, he's bribing them with a weather control machine.
And I'll say it again. This guy, Zlochevsky, who started Burisma, he did not want to talk about the weather. He wanted to know if Hunter could deliver. Can you get your father on the phone because we need things done? Thank you to Devon Archer.
And by the way, where's that guy right now? Where's Zlochevsky? He bought Cypriot citizenship.
I don't know really what this guy is all about. He used to
I don't know. I don't know what business is
be
about.
friends with Hunter, and apparently he came forward yesterday and told the truth. He has nothing to lose. He's going to jail for a year on a presumably unrelated charge.
Presumably unrelated. It's unrelated. Not presumably. There's no... If you have some information about Hunter Biden cheating native tribes out of money they were supposed to make on bonds, have at it, fuckhead.
This is shocking. This is, well, not to me, but the media finally has to say, all right, this is it. It was ignored mostly again. One show, the most watched news show in the world, actually, ABC World News with David Muir, this is how they did it.
So more people trust this site than they trust you. I see. Look, hey, I get it. I'm jealous of the number of TV screens Glenn Beck has in his studio and how he's got his fucking name or his initials, fecally sprayed on everything. I get it. I wish I had Saddam Hussein's decorator as well. But Greg, you're not even within shooting distance. I can at least purchase that shit.
And they made a big fat mistake, probably on purpose.
And the White House has long said, David, that President Biden and his son were never in business together. David?
And to clarify, Aaron, the calls involved Joe Biden when he was not president. This was before the presidency?
That's right, well before the president.
Hello? Hi.
Are you done?
No, I'm almost done. Hold on one second. I'll be right back, screen. Hold on. Children asking a question. So just to be clear, and I know some of you are worried about this as soon as I walked off, can I solve the problem, whatever problem that might be? And the answer is absolutely. They are able to play Goat Simulator 3 now. The proper input on the television has been made, and it works. So and one of the children has enthusiastically said, and I quote, "We are destroying the world," and with a big grin on their face. And I was like, you know what? As long as you do it as a team, that's the important thing, because this should be a bonding thing. So yes, the kids will be playing Goat Simulator 3, which is going to, I'm sure I'm going to be accused of satanic panic at some point. All right, now back to this dummy. Or not this dummy, but...
Presidency, even after he was vice president out of office, David.
Aaron Katursky tonight. Aaron, thank you.
That's not true, even after the vice presidency. That's not true. It encompasses 10 years, including and especially the vice presidency. That's the heart of this alleged bribery scheme.
Yeah, it's alleged, right. Here's, again, A, prove the money existed. You haven't done that yet. And then, once you prove the money existed... Then tell me what the money was for, because you still haven't figured out what the fuck that is. You haven't done it yet, stupid. Get at it. Tick-tock, motherfucker, tick-tock. All right.
There's so much evidence now.
So much evidence. Show some. You got a whole screen right there. I've got evidence of, can I show you? Hold on one second. Let's see. Yeah, I think it should be easier than this. Let's try to find, let's see. Okay, we'll open with that thing. And where is this? Why is it now? There we go. Open this up. There you go. Yeah, see, like evidence. It's easy. Just, so you got a whole screen right there, and you just go, yeah, right? You just use evidence. That's all. What do you need? Honestly, what if look for evidence, and then show it. Is it that difficult? I mean, is it that much of a problem, Greg? Is Is it too much to? I mean, you have, like I said, you've got this whole secondary screen there. You know, like why not fill it with
Oversight
evidence?
Committee has established how many millions of dollars came from Ukraine? 17.
Yeah, that's not evidence. That's a graphic, dummy. Let me show you something. That's a graphic. This is evidence. This you made. I guess I'm not even gonna say it's Photoshop. That's just like. And if you used Photoshop to make that, somebody needs to be. All right, that's that. I mean, like that's embarrassing on Fiverr. This is evidence. I think. Okay. So continue. Okay, allegedly received 17 million from Ukraine. That's fascinating. Hold on one second. Let's see. Because it's interesting, just that number. Let's see. There you go. Let's see, where is this? There's a, yeah, there you go. This is images of Chinese trademarks that Trump has. Here's Ivanka Trump, the trademark held by Trump's daughter. In 2008, Trump pursued an office tower project in Guangzhou that never got off the ground, but his efforts accelerated in 2012 with the opening of the Shanghai office, and tax records show that one of Mr. Trump's China-related companies, THC China Development LLC. That's right. How come we don't hear about that one? The Trump Haters Club, the Trump Hazardous Chemical Company and China Development LLC, claimed $84,000 in deductions that year for travel costs, legal fees, and office expenses. So basically, he just wrote off he created this company, wrote off travel stuff, and then I guess kept it. All right. After effectively planting his flag there, Trump found a partner in the State Grid Corporation, one of the nation's largest government-controlled enterprises. Agence France Presse reported in 2016 that the partnership would have involved a licensing and managing development in Beijing. Mr. Trump was reportedly still pursuing the deal months into his first presidential campaign, but it was abandoned after State Grid became ensnared in a corruption investigation by Chinese authorities. Sound familiar? Let's see. Well, the primary one though is this whole business. Anyway, third officer major Trump maintains a bank account, which President Chagras foreign accounts do not show up on Trump's public financial disclosures. That's weird. Why wouldn't you put that there? Chinese account is controlled by Trump International Hotels Management, which tax records show that's the THC, Trump or TIHC, TIHM, Tim. There are some who call me Tim, which tax records show paid $188,561 in taxes in China, where he paid $750 in the United States. Tax records do not include details on how much money may have passed through the overseas accounts. Of course not. Opened an account, Chinese bank having offices in the United States in order to pay the local taxes. Blah, blah, blah. That was the lie that they told. Trump Tower in Manhattan had a lucrative lease agreement until last year with China's largest state-controlled bank. Taking time. This is Trump bitching about the money in there, and then where is it? There was a there it is. In 2017, the company reported an unusually large spike in revenue. Let me shrink this down if I could. Hold on, take this up a little bit, and then we'll shrink those down. And so it's just easier for you guys to read more of it. There we go. The company was direct ownership in 2017 reported an unusually large spike in revenue, some $17.5 million. Isn't that weird? Why does that number sound so familiar? More than the previous 5 years combined, and it was accompanied by a $15.1 million withdrawal by Mr. Trump from the company's bank account. In what year? Now, I don't remember. Do you guys remember who was president in 2017? President of the United States of America. Now, I know that Joe Biden supposedly talked to his son in the year 20 of our Lord 2017. You guys remember that, right? At some point, he spoke to his son, even recorded a message to him, hoping he's okay and shit like that in 2017. Now, I know Joe Biden was not president because he hadn't been president up until 2020 or 2021, technically. And he certainly wasn't president after the Obama-Biden administration left. So somebody was president during 2017 when the company reported an unusually large spike in revenue, some $17.5 million, more than the previous 5 years combined. It was accompanied by a $15.1 million withdrawal personally by Mr. Trump from the company's capital account. He described it as management fees and other contract payments. That's adorable. But why does 17.5 million stand out to me? Why that number? Why does this keep coming up? Biden family and associates allegedly received 17 million from Ukraine. And associates, by the way, this is the fun part. Everybody involved in all the business ever. In 2017, Donald Trump definitely got 15 million out of a $17.5 million payment he got in. That's not even alleged. He alleges it. He says what it was what it was for when it came. So, but 17 points. So allegedly, Joe Biden, although there's not a fucking piece of paper anywhere tying him to this money. But Donald Trump admits that in 2017, when he was president of the United States, his Chinese bank account suddenly got more money in it than it had in the 5 years previous, and he took a bunch of it out of the account and and spent it. And it's almost the exact amount that's alleged in the Ukraine thing. It's almost as if every time Trump has a scandal that comes up, they start trying to drum up the farce that everybody else is as crimey as he is.
Million to the Biden family. Essentially everybody but Joe, which is kind of suspicious in and of itself. From Romania, oddly enough.
Why would it be to everybody but Joe? 1 million sent to Biden family from Romania.
$1 million.
I think it was because it was a refund from Andrew Tate.
From China, at least 3 million that we know of so far. And this, they basically did it in plain sight. I mean,
The company has direct ownership of THC China Development, but is also involved in management of other Trump-branded properties around the world, and it's not possible to discern from its tax records how much of its financial activity is China-related. It normally reports a few $1 million in annual income and deductible expenses. In 2017, the company reported an unusually large spike in revenue. Right out in the open.
Joe bragging about how tight he was with Xi, taking Hunter on Air Force Two. This stuff is important. And
because he was an addict and Biden didn't want to let him out of his sight.
And interestingly, what happens today? The indictment happens today.
Yeah, because the grand jury finished its work.
Today.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it up, shall we? Let's go through this. So, on June 7th, the FBI released documents alleging the Bidens.
Okay, this is going to be the ongoing story. Let's just finish out on this. Is that get used to this as the storyline that's going to come out of, and it's one of the dumbest arguments is this kind of parallel tracks idea, and it's so ham-handed and so fucking lazy. But the idea is that, anytime you make a move, I make a move, and then I say your move was because of my move, and that's it. Because if you know, especially when somebody's going to do something, and you can preempt it by a couple of hours even, it looks like they're reacting, when in fact they are not. Now, the difference is that all of the stuff around Devon Archer's, being called as a witness, all that shit, is at the whim of Republicans in Congress. Whereas all of the stuff that Jack Smith is doing has a regular legal order. And a lot of times the delays that happen or anything that stretches it out is the result of, in some cases, Trump-appointed judges stalling things on purpose. Eileen Cannon, for example. So the idea is that who has more control over the timing of things? Well, in this case, The Republican committees have all the control because they can just say, we're scheduling this and he's got to show up. And if he doesn't show up, why is it the day he doesn't show up, they're releasing this thing against him to distract from the fact that his partner wouldn't show up to testify or they tried to keep him, blah, blah, blah. So it's easier for them to control the narrative than it is for Jack Smith because he has to wait until, they actually get the indictment from the grand jury. They convince them to, and rest their case with the grand jury. And so he can't just like, okay, everybody, sit on your decision till next Friday where I know what it is. So sit on it until next Friday and then we'll release it in time just to protect Hunter Biden. It's absurd. It's silly. It's a waste of time. It's goofy. But it's their only sales pitch at this point. It is the only thing they have. And right now, you're the only thing I've got right now. Everything's striking. Nothing else. Well, that's not true. I mean, I'm doing okay. Like Nerd Halen's got a bunch of bookings and shit like that, and I make almost enough on the jam to cover my plane ticket each time. Almost. Not quite, but almost. But anyways, don't forget, like, subscribe. What am I asking you to do, really, other than give a shit? And I will see you guys tomorrow for the regular order show. And then starting next week, we go back to our odd schedule of later shows on Thursdays, just letting you know, because school starts. And that's just part of our schedule. That's just how it's been. And that said, I appreciate you guys. I thank you. And I can't wait to see you again. And we are going to next week, because I'm going to have empty nest syndrome, because my girl and her son are going on a trip, and I will be it'll be me and the cats, and I don't even drink, so I can't even like get a bottle of wine and be sad. It's just me and the kidney. That's it. Yeah, and Glenn back. Oh, now you're really depressing me. But in the meantime, you guys are wonderful. Thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow. And I'm going to continue to break down this. I have a video that I'm working on about RFK Jr. and what I'm going to try to do, and a couple other people, and I'm going to try and put those out when I have a Tuesday where I've got the jam coming up and that kind of stuff. Thunder sounds cool in headphones. Oh, good. I'll do like some ASMR at some point too. We'll experiment with all kinds of stuff because next week we're basically going to have telethons as I'm alone at the house streaming all day. I'll be in a chair though so that my legs don't collapse out from under me. That said, take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else, and I gotta go feed the people.